Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Media Buff Guys, the podcast about anything and everything media related. I'm your host, Ed, and with me tonight is Matt. Matt, say hello.
Yo, what's up?
Also joining us today is our friend Lane. Lane, why don't you say hi?
Hello.
Hi, thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us.
I'm excited.
Yeah, we are too. So for today's episode, before we begin, I want to just mention I guess you can call them our sponsor, Maono. Maono is one of the leading companies in budget-friendly mics and audio interfaces. They sell in over 150 countries and have a variety of items tailored to fit one's budget without breaking the bank. If you're listening to this on my YouTube channel, I will leave a link in the description to the website below. Use code MediaBuff to get 10% off your first purchase. The code actually stacks with any items on sale, so you can get that additional discount. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about Netflix's latest live adaptation, Avatar: The Last Airbender, which, as of recording this, aired February 22nd, 2024. This is going to be your first spoiler warning, as we are going to talk deep about the show, not just the live action, but the animated and kind of how they stack against one another. But honestly, if you haven't seen the show by now, what's wrong with you, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
You're right. When
Yeah.
did it end? Like what, 2010? 2012?
The original
Uh,
animated
Yeah.
series?
it was only three
Uh,
seasons and it started in 2005.
That is correct. They went from February 21st, 2005 to July 19, 2008. It was 3 seasons and
Yeah.
61 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely a good show. So again, we're talking about Netflix's live adaptation of the show. It is the live adaptation of Avatar: The Last Airbender, which, as we mentioned earlier, aired on Nickelodeon. It's a fantasy style, basically set in a world where human civilization consists of four nations named after the four classic elements: water, fire, earth, and air. Basically, in the original storyline, the Fire Nation decides that they want to take over the world, and they attack the neighboring nations. And there's one being that can kind of stop them from taking over, and it's called the Avatar. Not to be confused with the blue people.
They're not the Smurfs. They're oversized Smurfs.
In this story, each tribe gets an avatar, and the cycle goes that way. And the next one's the Air Nomads. But unfortunately, the Fire Nation decides
Well,
to
technically,
technically what?
like each nation doesn't get like an avatar.
Yeah, they do, because the cycle goes.
Well, think about what's her face? The fan lady.
Kiyoshi,
Yeah,
She was an
she was an
earthbender.
airbender. I mean, she was an earthbender.
she
She was an
was.
Yeah,
earthbender.
Huh.
yeah, she was from the Earth Nation, Kyoshi Island.
Hmm.
In any
She was an
case,
earthbender.
the most recent Avatar was going to be an air nomad, but when the Fire Nation got wind of that, they decided to basically wipe them out. Either way, the story consists of Aang, who is the new Avatar, trying to reestablish balance to the world by learning the four elements and taking down the Fire Nation. The live adaptation, it takes place in the first season, which is book one, consists 8 episodes. And I say loosely because I think we can all agree it's just I don't know what to say, man. When you guys take over, we've all seen the entire episode, like the whole 8 episodes, right?
Hell no.
Okay, Matt,
I
you couldn't do that.
No, I couldn't. I tapped out at like episode 5 and halfway through.
Oh my goodness. What about you, Lane?
I made it all the way through. I had to limit myself to an episode a night because that was about all I could handle. But I made it all the way through, and then I even rewatched the first episode just kind of to make sure I remembered everything correctly by the time I got to the eighth episode. But I mean, there's like one thing I kind of like about what they did with the first episode, but then after that, it was all just kind of
Yeah. If you
downhill from.
if you haven't noticed, we weren't too thrilled with the new adaptation. Like Netflix once again
No.
kind of took something
Fucked it
precious
up.
to us. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we all knew it was going to be bad when the creators dipped out. I think really what it was just like all of our curiosities was like it's going to be bad, but want to see how bad. And I think that's why we all sat there and
Maybe it
watched.
won't be that bad.
Oh, it's going to be bad, but how bad is it going to be? And then it was bad. all around. So I mean, to say that I thought it was going to be good is I wasn't going in with high expectations. So
I really was.
I wasn't.
Hey,
I
I
wasn't.
warned
I
you,
was.
lad.
I
I
wasn't.
know I flew too close to the sun. The visuals still look great. I think we can agree on that, right? The visuals.
The visuals, well, the visuals were great up until we got to the north, but we'll get there.
Okay. So going around, what like as soon as the first episode started, what's something that kind of triggered you?
When Gran
Well,
started doing the
No,
intro
the
to the
first
show.
episode, not
no,
the
that was
first
the
like
first.
3
That was the
That
first
was the
That was
episode.
still
first
the first
episode.
episode?
Yeah,
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
where
it was
she
the
gives the
first episode.
intro. What triggered me was Aang showing up without his glider. Just like he
Just
can't
floating around.
fly,
Yeah.
he can
No,
manipulate the air with his glider to make him fly, but he doesn't have like flying powers. And I was like, oh, this is bad. Here we go. Rough start.
that was actually a trigger point to a lot of fans the moment they saw that.
It triggered
And
me. So I know
yeah,
it triggered
a
them.
lot of people on social media immediately defended it, saying like, "Well, he wasn't flying; he was gliding. He was using air winds to float around."
Yeah. But still, the first scene you see with him flying is with his glider. So why not do the same? Or at least his little, like, I don't know, airball little thing he
His air
does where he,
scooter.
yeah, like that would have been cool to see him do that or something. But just flying around like a superhero, it just doesn't make sense. Um, and considering like later on he has the glider, like where was your glider
I think he used
then?
it twice in that first episode, and that was it.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
did. I used it to get away from the Fire Nation, and then I don't even remember what he used it for after that. A walking stick. I don't even.
But before we continue, I want to put a little concept. If you watch the original animated version of it, you know that the first episode consists of Katara and Sokka finding Aang in the iceberg. They went ahead and opted to do something else, and they did like I guess you can call it a prequel, where they show the Fire Nation take out the Airbenders. The scene Lane is talking about is basically yeah, Aang just he's still a monkey. He doesn't know he's the Avatar yet, and a monkey Yatso calls him over, and he's basically floating around. It is a pretty trigger point. What about you, Matt? What's something that triggered you in the first episode?
Like I said, when Gran was doing that intro to the
A
original
lot of people
cartoon,
hated that, yeah.
I hated that part.
Especially because she did not do a good job. It sounded very monotone.
And also on top of that, when the village is like all welcoming to Aang, and
Mm,
then he decides to run away from a fight when Zuko shows up, or Zuko.
Zuko, yeah.
Yeah. When he shows up, and then Sokka takes him on, and then he's like, "Oh, this is the first time anyone ever fought for me." Blah blah blah. No, in the episode when that happened in the original show, Aang was kicked out of their little village for going over to the old Fire Nation ship and setting off that flare because it was forbidden ground.
Yeah, we
And
remember.
then he sees that new Fire Nation ship come and attack that village, and he's like, "Oh, I gotta go throw some hands."
hmm Which actually wasn't too bad, their fight. I just wish they had used some of the original dialogue.
Same here.
Yeah.
And another triggering part was when Zuko's practicing on the ship. Iroh's just like, "Oh, don't you think you practice enough?" No, in the original one, Uncle Iroh is like, no, you need to learn your basics and control your breathing."
I don't really remember that, but I mean, it's probably true. Um,
Yeah, he did tell him
the
to know
one
his
thing that
basics
triggered
and
me
his
from the
breathing.
first episode was how they showed Gyatso die. Now, if you've watched the animated version, you know that they don't actually show how Gyatso died. So there's a lot of speculation, and one of them is basically that he basically sucked out the air out of a room and killed himself along with a bunch of firebenders. Because if you look at the skeleton, there's no scorch marks, there's no scars. So he probably did the ultimate sacrifice and took himself out among other firebenders. In this one, Sozin kills him. Now, I doubt Sozin would have been in that fight to take out the air nomads. Maybe he was there, maybe he wasn't. But when I saw him take out Gyatso and how Gyatso went out, I was like, nope. That's when I realized, okay, this is gonna suck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, same. I didn't mind the backstory of how the air nomads were wiped out. That wasn't something that bothered me. I was like, okay, well, we get to see more airbender stuff and instead of just like Aang's flashbacks, which are not bad. But I kind of felt like this was like taking place of all of his flashbacks that he has throughout the first season of like remembering the air tribe and all of that. You're just like, all right, guys, this is what it looked like. This is what happened. Don't got to touch base on that. Like, so I didn't really mind it. But at the same time, when that scene came up, I was like, oh, man, the air is going the wrong way. Like, it's not, the air is
That's
going
not
the
what
wrong way. Like,
happened.
this isn't right. So, yeah. And then the other thing that was really weird was that the kids, like the airbender kids, were in that same room. They're just like hiding in the fucking corner. So according to if they it would have gone right, like would he have technically tried to kill all those kids too, which is weird. Like if you think about it like that, like if he's supposed to suck all the room out of it, but then they're in here, like it's all just didn't make sense in terms of how they lined it up. So I
Agreed. I
totally
and
agree.
and I
Yeah.
think that was a takeaway from that. They didn't want to do it that way, which they missed out on the opportunity for a great opening scene and just showing just how badass Gyatso is.
Yeah. Yeah, they
Yeah.
just really didn't do him any justice,
Like,
honestly.
yeah.
In terms of a fighter, like in terms of like Aang's friend and like his mentor, like I think they did a good job of like
No,
setting that
definitely, yeah.
backstory up. He was very believable. Like the actor was believable as Gyatso, which is another thing. It's just like I feel like a lot of the actors and actresses in that series just weren't hitting the mark of the characters they were cast as. And
That's true.
it's hard to
100% agree.
know if it's because of the terrible writing or because they just don't have any context of this show and how these characters are supposed to be is portrayed. Like I
I
hate
feel like
Katara. Like
I
I
feel like the
hated her
homework should have
from
been
the
they should have
first
watched the
scene.
series before they started acting it.
Yeah, so
Also,
it's just
fun
very
fun
weird.
fact, the actor who plays Gyatso is the same actor who voiced him in the show, in the cartoon show.
Well,
Yeah,
that
well, same
explains
with
why he got it right.
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
same with the cabbage guy.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
the cabbage
Cabbage
merchant.
The
guy.
only two characters that were correct are the ones that were the actual voices for the real
Exactly.
characters. They nailed their parts. Perfect. Everyone else bombed.
Well, going back to what Lane said about the characters not accurately being portrayed,
Hmm.
one of the biggest ones for me was Prince Zuko. That was not Prince Zuko. The one from the cartoon will whoop that boy's ass.
He just
Like,
didn't
because he's
have
not
any
as ruthless
anger.
in the live
Hmm.
action.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not to offend anybody, but he gave me kind of posh vibes. Like it's like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
And
Uncle Iroh, oh my God.
he wasn't like that. He was a laser focused guy on getting an avatar and getting his honor back.
And an
Nothing
asshole,
would
yeah.
stand in his way.
Plus he was an asshole. And he was a
Hmm.
good asshole.
Yeah,
Like,
that
he was
was
one of
a
those
great
asshole
point of
you didn't mind.
is you're supposed to not like him in the
But you
you're not
do.
supposed but you're not supposed to really but you're not supposed to like him in the first season and then that's he
Yeah.
develops and then
I mean,
but
here's
in the
hoping.
first
I mean,
but in the live action it's just set up to where like you're instantly supposed to just love Zuko and his poor little like meh
Poor is
wah
me,
wah
woe is me.
bullshit but like Zuko wasn't it just he just missed it and that's a lot of thing it's like is it because like this actor just wasn't really familiar with the content of the character he's supposed to be, or was just the writing so terrible that
I kind of want to blame it on the writing.
I
these
blame
poor
it on the
people just
writing
had no
too.
chance?
Mostly
Because
because,
I
yeah, I
did,
mostly blame it on the writing
yeah.
because Johnny Bosco, who voiced Zuko in the cartoon, he said he worked with him. Like he worked with the actor a little bit on how to personify Zuko. So either the kid didn't get it right, or the writing was just that bad.
Yeah,
I mean, personally, the writing's on the wall if you watch the show, and it was pretty bad.
the writing's pretty bad. Yeah,
It was. Going on to the following episodes after that, one thing that just irked me just how they lazily combine like 2 or 3 episodes into one, and not well either.
No.
Like
Out
what
of
was that city
order.
called again?
Bossing say,
Was that
no,
No,
no?
Musha.
Omashu.
Yeah, Omashu, because
Yeah,
Boston Say
Omashu,
the large
Arusha.
one.
Yeah, the episodes that consisted in Omashu were a little irritating, especially
Yeah.
with Jet.
Yeah.
I didn't like this
It was
Jet.
I just don't like that they took all like these side characters that you meet in their own places and then they're just like put them in this city.
Yeah, they
Just put
crammed
them
them
all in
all in
this
one
city.
place.
Just shove them all in here.
Hmm.
Um Honestly, if you think about it, if there was 8 episodes, if they just would have done a 10 episode arc, they could have fit everything from the first season into those 10 episodes. There's
Well, the
20
first season
episodes.
is 13 episodes.
No, it's 20.
It's 20?
Yeah.
It's 20
Oh,
episodes. So
damn.
it's like they could have just still combined 2 episodes, but like if
Per
you would have
hour.
had them close enough per hour and still gotten
That's
all of the
true.
content that you needed, the fact that they only did 8 episodes and not 10, just to give a little bit more backstory,
Hmm.
sucks because there was a lot of stuff that I think were some important episodes for character development that didn't happen. Like Katara, like her grandma never gave her that scroll, right?
Oh,
Obviously,
she
she
stole it
Exactly.
from
stole it
pirates.
from the pirates. There was no damn pirates. Like her grandma just gave her that scroll. She was one of the worst characters of the whole story. I hated
The
every
grandma or
time she was
Katara?
both, but Katara because she was in it more.
No,
She was
I
in it
gotta
for
say,
more.
I did not like the adaptation of Katara in this one. I felt like this was a water, and here I'm using this term lightly, a watered down version of her.
Yeah, she was very meek and very quiet,
Exactly.
and she didn't have any fight to her or like any like it was just like Katara from the water tribe. I can't really water bend.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's one point that I want to make, but I'm gonna save it down to the line. Now, going on to the flow of the episodes, uh, I personally thought that it sometimes it just made no sense how they were transitioning from certain scenes to another.
Yeah,
What's one particular scene or episode that just made no sense to you?
I got two.
You got two?
One is when they kill my boy Kevin,
Uh-huh.
and that what was it, episode 2 or 3, the flashback to the Fire Nation,
Yeah.
or where,
Yeah, he's supposed to be a spy
yeah,
and
they kill my boy Kevin. And B, what was that Game of Thrones bullshit between Katara and Sokka in the Tunnel of Love with the
yeah, that was kind of
Mora
weird, yeah.
or Badger Mole?
That was
What about you, Lane?
um I hated the co scene. I hated that they put him in there. I hated that it had nothing to do with what he was originally in the series for. I hated that Aang knew what to do around him without consulting Roku first, who was the one that told him to remain emotionless. I hated
Exactly.
all of that. I was like, that's supposed to come later on, like after he's way
Yeah, the Siege of the
later.
North.
Why are you putting it in episode 3?
Exactly.
um yeah, so that was one thing that I didn't understand why that was there.
Yeah.
And then I mean, there's a lot. I also hated Suki as well. She was I love Suki in the series, but I hated her in the series because it's like they took Sokka and her and they flipped them into where Sokka was like the uninterested one and she's the one pursuing him when really it's the other way around. Sokka was really interested in her and she was just kind of like, what the fuck, guy? Um, so I didn't like that dynamic either.
Yeah.
And
They
all
mess
of
way too
the
much with a
yeah,
lot of dynamics.
they
Not
Uh,
really
only that,
did.
with Sokka, he was a misogynist. Well, most of the Water Tribe is, but he gets put in his place, and they
Mhm.
like removed all the flaws from the character to not give him any development. They just like, oh, they're like supposed to be these goody goody characters.
well, they had gone on record to say that they were going to get rid of that,
Well,
which a lot of people were pissed about.
but why? Characters need flaws so they
Exactly.
can overcome.
I guess they weren't trying to offend
Because it's
anybody, but
2024, okay? And we're woke now. We
oh
don't
my
want to
goodness.
offend anyone.
Exactly.
But like it's I don't know, it's character development. It's not like he's like that and then stays that way forever. The thing about it is he's
Exactly.
like that and he changes, and that's what we like about it. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, it's not cool, but him growing and changing his opinion is what makes him
It's a
good.
key aspect.
Exactly.
So when you
Me
take that away, it's like you're taking away like the whole point of the character. He's just like this loudmouth waterbender, like from the waterbending tribe without waterbending powers. He's just
exactly.
Hmm.
annoying.
Me personally, one thing that irked me was the fact that Aang learned no water bending, not even when he got to the north. By the time he got there, he was a better waterbender than Katara. And Katara only got better because Paku finally decided to train her. And even then, Paku pointed out that he had raw talent. On top of that, the Heibai episode just irked me so much because I'm like, why are they in the spirit realm? They have no business being there. Whatever they did with that episode, just oh my God.
You're talking about when they first went there and they're supposed to stay on the trail, right?
No, the Heibai episode was when they come across the forest that was burned by the Fire Nation,
Yeah,
and
that's
Aang
the one
has
I'm
to
talking
appease in
about.
spirit. Aang's the only one that can cross over, okay? Even if you're near him, you can't cross over. I don't care what they say.
He can't pull you there, and the only reason Sokka ended up there is because the spirit ran off with him.
Exactly. I mean, it just didn't make any sense. They took a really good episode and they just flipped it on its ass. And then having like that transition into Ko and him having to bring a little relic to appease him. I was like, what? What? Ko, take his face, please. And for the record, Ko will take your face if you make an expression. The boy was making expressions left and right. Okay.
Yeah, and it's just weird that Ko had all the trapped villagers and Sokka and Katara when it was just like that panda spirit, the forest spirit took them.
Yeah,
It's weird. Had
Ko,
nothing to
I
do
mean,
with any of those people.
Heibai was the one that took everybody. How did Ko get it? Like Heibai and Ko don't get along.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's really weird. That didn't make any sense. So I just felt like Ko was a really cool like character they could have put in, creepy character, and they just wasted him. They just
And he
totally
was a creep.
wasted
He was
him.
such a good creepy character,
Yeah, he
especially
was.
when he's talking to Aang and just telling him about Tui and La, the ocean spirit and the moon spirit, and Aang figuring out who they are.
That
Um,
was such a good scene.
going from there, what like try to pick besides the visuals, what's one thing you kind of liked about the show? I know it's a stretch. Like
Oh
we're
man.
gonna be here a while.
Outside of, I mean, I did like, well, I never saw the M. Night Shyamalan Avatar, so I don't
Oh,
have
you're so
anything to
lucky.
compare it to. I know, so I just was like, this looks terrible. I don't want anything to do with it. But I liked the bending effects that they did. It felt very real. It felt obviously where they were using actors and actresses that like knew martial arts instead of just like random people. So it felt natural. So I did like that aspect of it, that the martial arts side of it was there. Like it was convincing. I mean, honest, but like that's kind of about it. Oh, I do like the costumes actually. I thought the costumes
Yeah, that
were
was good.
great, with the exception of UA. But the costumes are accurate. I thought like they looked really good.
No, yeah, they did.
So I think the costume team did a great job. The one
Um,
team that did really good, and the special effects team did great, but the writing team terrible. Directing team, eh.
if you do decide to be brave enough and watch M. Night's version of a at lab, UA actually did look pretty good. So
I've seen photos, and so I was
yeah,
like,
that was
man,
them
like she
comparing
looks
her.
great. I hate to say anything about UA because I really like the actress that played her.
Me too.
She
She's
was
good.
the same. She was the actress from that Prey movie, the Predator
Mm-hmm.
movie.
Yep.
But like her story was like I don't know, it was just kind of weird, and then just her wig was very bad, like
You
terrible
could
wig.
tell it was a wig too. It was like a
It
really
was
bad wig.
so
With
bad. I
some
was
bad
like, what?
eyes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that was bad. But the other costumes, like even her costume was great, but that wig was
Yeah,
not.
it didn't
Burn
do it
it.
just.
No, that should never see the light of day. Burn it.
What about you, Matt? What's something that you liked? One thing that you liked about the show, about the live action? He's thinking.
Really hard.
Think really hard.
Really, really hard.
Okay, I
Okay,
would
what got you?
agree with Lane
Uh-huh.
about the bending. That's
Yeah.
probably about it because it didn't take like 5 dudes to lift a pebble.
That's because he's watched the live the M Night's version of it.
Well, and M. Night's, it was like, it wasn't even a passion project for the dude. They just like gave him the script right here, go make this. And he's like, okay.
No, but aside from the bending, what's one thing you like?
Um, I mean, I guess like the scenery about how accurate it was in comparison to
The
the show.
the set design? Yeah.
Yeah, set design and the costumes, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
This is where I have a theory with live action adaptations nowadays. They get just enough shit right to draw in the audience, and then like, oh, here's this pile of shit for you.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
I mean,
And they're
me
really good at
personally,
picking those animes that like tug your heartstrings, or those the really good
the
ones that they
nostalgia
know have
stuff.
a big
Hmm.
fan base, and they're like, let's fuck this up. I'm like, oh god, can we not just leave it alone?
Me personally, I think the only character that I feel like they got pretty well, besides Gyato, was Iroh. Although it was weird he didn't once mention T. Lay's like shaking her head like, hell no.
Oh no, I hated
Aside
Iroh.
from the not liking the tea or asking for tea, I feel like they did kind
No,
of
they
encapsulate him
didn't.
pretty well.
No, they didn't. Where was his funny jokes? Where were like the funny Iroh like one-liners? What was like his funny like just funny banter, the funny like things he would say to Zuko. Like none of that was there. Like none of that was there. And it sucks because I that actor is great and
Yeah,
he
Yeah.
was excited to be the character, but if you don't write in those little things that make the character their character, it's not going to hold. Like he could be you can write him to be Zuko's biggest fanboy, but it's not going to translate if he doesn't have the silly, quirky Iroh remarks or like the funny Iroh jokes or like, oh, the lotus child was in my thing the whole time.
the whole
You know,
time.
like the whole time for Zuko. Isn't that funny? Like, what? None of that was there, which captured who he is. Not to mention, they only had the only time he ever mentions tea is the first episode,
Mm-hmm.
and then after that no tea is ever mentioned.
More tea, please.
Even yeah, even the way even his interactions with oh, what's the chick, oh man, her name is just left my
Azula,
brain. No, not Azula,
June,
the bounty, yeah, June, the
June.
bounty hunter. Even his interactions with like her were wrong. Like they made it seem like she thought he was the cute one, and but like that wasn't the relationship. Like she had zero interest in this old man who like obviously had a huge crush on her in the
Uncle.
show, and I didn't even bring that. Like that wasn't even there for any of it. Like his like none. They no. I don't agree with your Iroh. I
Yeah.
don't agree
I was
with
going
it.
more for the nurturing part of him, but yeah, you're
The
a lot of
nurturing
the
part
core.
was there. Like
Hmm.
that's all there was. But there's more to him than just being like Zuko's fanboy dad influencer. Like there's more to him than that, you know. He's there's not even one scene with him interacting with like the other people on the ship except for telling Zuko's backstory. But like he's always messing with those guys on the ship, playing games with them. There's a
Pie
whole part
show,
with
yeah. I win the
singing.
pot.
Yeah, there's a whole thing that happens a few times, and the whole part where they're like playing instruments and he's singing and they're dancing. Like it's just they just missed like all of like the lovable Irohness that he needs to make you fall in love with him, and he's make him all of our uncles. He wasn't my uncle. This live action Iroh was not my uncle.
That's not my president.
That's not my uncle.
Thing about Iroh is that he was a little too. He had like the old wise man syndrome,
Hmm.
but there was times when he was pretty stern.
Well, he was stern with
Not
Zuko on a
really,
couple
not in the live
occasions.
adaptation.
No, no, in the
In
animated
anime,
version.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was getting at.
Going from there, obviously it doesn't stack against the animated version of the show. Going forward, what's something you think Netflix should do to try to fix this cluster cluck?
Scrap it.
Scrap it, start over, burn it.
Don't even start over. Just burn it and forget it.
What about you, Lane? What do you think? Is there
I like it.
any way to save this, or you think that's
Well, my problem is now we got onto season 2, and now we're about okay. The other like elephant in the room that we also haven't addressed is why is Azula here?
that's true? She doesn't come in until season 2.
You see her the last scene of the last episode where the back of Fire Lord is like telling her she's got to go do some stuff, and then that's it. Like that's all you see of her. But the fact that she was in every episode of the first season, it doesn't make any like it was unneeded. She didn't give anything to the story. She
That's
didn't
true.
help the story at all. It's
Yeah,
just her being pissed off about having to fight a bunch of benders all the time to prove she's cool to her dad. Like it like there's just no point, and like that weird dynamic they had between them is like they really made it seem like she hates her dad like so much, but she really didn't hate her dad in the series. She like idolized him and thought he was like the best. She hated Zuko, but really it was like they really made it seem like she hates her dad a lot.
Wasn't she also her father's favorite?
Yes, she's
uh,
her father's,
call her
she's the
favorite.
fire prodigy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's the prodigy. Like she was, born with the luck, and Zuko was lucky to be born or whatever.
Hey, cool from the original one.
That's true. So it's like obviously the Fire Lord's not gonna like show all of like his emotion for his children. Obviously, that's not his
Hmm.
thing. But clearly Azula's his favorite,
Yeah.
obviously, out of the two. So just having that whole dynamic to where like she hates her dad because of how much he puts her through all the time just didn't make sense. And then just her being there didn't make sense either.
Yeah, because I mean, she was tasked by the Fire Lord to track down Zuko when he thought that they turncoat on him.
Yeah. And then, the last scene was like spoilers. The last scene was like her like taking on Omusha. Like, but we don't even get to that until a little bit into season 2, a few episodes, I think, when they're flying
Hmm.
back. So I thought that was really weird, just the fact that Azula was in the first season at all, period. It was like they clearly were like fishing for views because they know she's such a popular character. But they're
Oh
like,
yeah.
add her in now, people are gonna tune in to see her. But she's not good either. Like she didn't even capture Azula correctly either. Like
Yeah,
so
I
it,
didn't like her that much.
Yeah.
no.
Not just her acting, like visually speaking, I didn't like I don't think she looked like her either. She just,
No.
the Zula needs to have that scowl. The Zula has that scowl that just like freaking
Mm-hmm.
scares
Also,
the
I
crap out
felt
of you.
like this actress that played her looked like a little kid in comparison.
Well, keep in mind Zula's like 16 in the
Yeah,
show.
this kid looked like she was 8.
I think she's only like 14 or 15, I think, because I think Zuko's
In
like
the show?
16.
In the
Yeah.
cartoon?
I think Zuko's like 16. Because I
Zuko's
remember
16.
Iroh says something about you're only 16 as he's
Right.
like looking.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think like Azula is like a year or two younger. So she's only like 14 or 15.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, so it's just like even a 14 or 15-year-old.
Yeah. But fun fact, in the original cartoon, the writers originally wanted to write in an arranged marriage for Azula. They wanted her to be arranged to somebody, kind of like how
Anyway, was
Sozin's wife was betrothed to him.
oh
But
god.
they ultimately decided that she wouldn't go for that.
Well, no, she's a psychopath.
Not so much
Nobody's
a
good enough
psychopath.
for
She's like
her.
she's not easily tamed.
Have you not seen what she becomes?
No,
Yeah.
that's a broken spirit right there. That's not psychotic.
No, she went full psycho, dude.
That's
She's
again, that's
Remember the
psychotic.
cherry pit episode?
yeah, no, I remember. I'm just saying that's still the result of a broken spirit right there. And even Zuko pointed it out. There's something wrong with her. That's not going crazy. That's just breaking. Like her friends, her best friends betrayed her. Her father basically abandoned her. Although, I mean, he made her
But
fine.
none of that really happened. It's just how she perceived it, and she ultimately pushed everyone away.
No, I know. No. I'm just saying, like her psychosis, her breakdown. She had a breakdown basically. Either way, yeah, I'm glad the writers didn't go that way. What would you guys do or say if they try to add that in the live action of her getting an arranged marriage?
Well, I would not know because I have no intention of finishing this.
When season 2 comes out, are you guys gonna watch it?
No.
Um, if there's nothing else on, out of pure boredom, I probably will.
I mean, I
I
kind of
watch
have
I
to.
watch a lot of stuff just because there's nothing on, and it's just what's on, not because I'm like liking it. I just like I need to kill an hour of my time. Put this crap
Yeah,
on.
Supernatural.
I'll half pay attention, so
I'll definitely watch it. I probably won't watch it when it airs. I have to mentally prepare myself and then just like maybe rocking back and forth a little bit, get myself ready.
I
I like, all
mean,
right, time to like, scar myself for life.
I mean, if you watch it
yeah.
and we end up doing a review, then you're gonna force me to watch it, and I'm gonna hate you.
It'll just give us more cannon fodder.
That's true.
Going from there, why do you think Netflix keeps just sucking at these live actions, these live adaptations?
Because they don't follow the source material.
That's just it. They do,
No, they
but they
don't.
don't follow it well,
They follow it to the bare minimum
right?
to keep it like relevant to where like the fan base can connect it, but a lot of the stuff that they're making live action of is really older stuff, older content.
That's
And the
true.
writing and the lingo and the viewpoints are way different now. And so I think they're trying to PG everything for this like very like sensitive group of people that are out there um that just can't handle stuff like that. I mean, that's why they changed so many of the characters in Avatar to make them not the way they used to be because that's not relevant now. Like people don't like that type of stuff. Like being a womanizer is not good. It's not okay. People don't like that. So it's like to cater to the new people, you got to take that aspect of the character out or stuff like that. So I feel like the more they do these live adaptations of older content, the more they're going to have to change stuff to make it more relevant to not upset people. And that's going to just change the story of a lot of these things because that's what it's based off of. It's just how it is. Like, I'm sorry
But
everyone's
even
sensitive now, but get over it.
Yeah, but even with just writing in general, it doesn't necessarily have to be something that's older. It's just poor writing if you're gonna pander to a certain group.
True, especially when that group probably isn't even a fan of the original source material.
Yeah,
Like 90% of these people who they don't want to offend, they don't even care or have even heard of the series. The original cartoon, it was synonymous simply because it was just that good. But when they added it to Netflix, it just went off the rails and got even more popular than it already was.
that's because it was a chance for us 30-something-year-olds to
No, no,
watch
I'm
it
talking
again.
about newcomers, people who experienced the show, people who had never seen the show before or even heard about it. And 90% of those people thought that Avatar was blue people. But
Thanks, James Cameron.
when Netflix decided to add the series to their platform and people got a whiff of it, newcomers who've never heard of it, never watched it, they immediately fell in love with it. But again, like you said, Lane, Netflix just continuously decides to appease to an audience who probably doesn't even know about the show or that it came from a cartoon. Like
And
they've
also
never
the
even,
time period.
yeah, they probably never even seen the cartoon or even heard of it. They probably think it's the blue people. Yeah, yeah. I mean, if they keep doing that, they're just, doomed to fail every time. I mean, the show. Do you guys think there's hope for it? Like
No,
any
not if
way?
they continue in this direction be- because
Um,
of
no,
everything we
go
just
ahead.
said.
What were you
Like
saying,
thinking
Lane?
out loud. Oh, I was just thinking out loud. I mean, they could fix it. With the second season, but I just don't think that they will. I think they're gonna skip a bunch of important stuff again, combine a bunch of important stuff, and just leave out stuff that's really important. If they do season two, I'm so terrified as to who they're gonna cast to be Toph and how her character is gonna be, because that's like such a hard character to like nail and be able to get her right. And I'm just
Mm.
like, based off of first season, they're gonna get it wrong. So I'm just super nervous about that. Not to mention they've yet to do anything with Appa and Momo, who are two very big characters with big personalities. And so far, Appa's just been a means of transportation, and Momo is just there taking up space. Like he
Yeah, pretty
doesn't
much.
Yeah.
serve, like he doesn't do anything. Like there's no nothing with these characters, whereas like the first season, like those characters have such big personalities as well,
Oh yeah.
as long and they just didn't do anything with those characters at all, and I don't even know if they're going to even try to do anything with those characters. um
Yeah, I mean, I was bummed that I didn't get to see Appa throw a bunch of firebenders out of a prison in the middle of the ocean. That scene alone was like, oh, they missed out on that. We missed out on that in a live action of Appa doing that. And then you just miss out on all the hijinks that Momo got into because even though he was this mischievous little lemur, the guy was surprisingly badass. Like he helped Aang a lot. Like he helped
yeah,
Aang take on Azula in an episode.
Didn't he drop
yeah,
rocks on her?
No,
yeah,
so the episode I'm talking about is when they're trying to destroy the drill.
Oh yeah.
Momo stays by his side because one thing, if you notice in the cartoon, Momo will not leave Aang's side unless Aang tells him to. So when Aang was fighting Azula, they both get knocked down, and Momo flies down, literally tries to pick him up, flapping his wing, trying to get him back up. So,
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, I mean, I don't think we'll see something like that, but
No.
I don't know. You say you didn't watch the whole series, right, Matt? You up to what episode did you watch?
Halfway through 5.
Okay, I'm gonna ruin something for you right now, especially about Momo. Lane, I know you know what I'm talking about. Okay. So in the last episode of the Siege of the North, there's a scene, and I hated that they did this to us, where it kind of looks like Momo almost got killed. He
oh
gets
yeah,
rubble dropped on him, and he's severely injured. Like it was just one of those scenes where, like, what? I almost threw the remote at the TV when I saw that
Why would they do that?
because they wanted to mess with us. They wanted to hurt us.
they really did. And then that was like really honestly like the only scene where Momo and Sokka like interact with each other.
That's true. I mean, technically, they don't. Well, no, they do
No, they
interact a
interact
lot.
with each
They're
other all
A
the
lot,
always
yeah.
messing
time.
with each other.
Yeah,
Like they're
yeah.
all like
Momo's always
Momo's
messing with
always
Sokka,
doing shit to fucking fuck with Sokka. Like it's
taking his
so
food,
yeah, and
dropping
so they
stuff on
have like
him.
this really funny like dynamic, which it seemed like they tried to kind of let us know that they
Force it.
have that dynamic in the second episode, um,
Hmm.
with the food. You know how Momo like steals,
Oh yeah, when they're carrying the berries.
yeah, and like they're eating, and then Momo flies in and takes like Sokka's food, and he's just like the way his reaction towards them is just like I
That's
don't
it.
know, it's very aggressive. It's very like like he was like, man, if he could really just like kill this little lemur right now, he would just take this lemur out. But that's not
Well, he
his
wanted to eat him
attitude
when he first met him.
when he first met him. But then when he joins the team and becomes part of the family, it's not like that. Like their dynamic is really silly and
Yeah.
really fun, but it was just very much
But
like,
watch
yeah.
the last episode, Matt, and then you'll see what we're talking about. It was just when I saw that, I was like, they better not. And I was watching it with Jen, my wife, and she just remember thinking like, what's wrong? This did not happen in the cartoon. I swear to Bob, if they fucking ruined this,
Yeah.
that really took the cake for me. I was like, okay, that's it. I'm done with this show.
Yeah. One episode I wish they would have actually added in that was like an episode they left out was the deserter episode where
Right,
Aang
with
tries to
John.
get the yeah, with John or whatever his name
Yeah,
is.
John.
Yeah, that was a huge episode, and I can't even believe they didn't even like try to shove a clip of it into like their 500 shoved in clipped episodes. Like that was so big. Like you learn that Katara could heal, and then Aang swears off
Exactly.
fire bending, and then you learn like the backstory of Zhao, and it was a big episode, and I can't even believe they just skipped right over it,
Completely,
like
yeah.
it never happened.
Like skipping
That did
over the Great Divide, I don't think everybody minded that part.
no, like what was
The
that one?
fortune teller one. Well, going from there, despite the fact that a lot of the hardcore fans didn't like it, newcomers to the show actually did.
Of
What do you
course.
have? Yes, the show did well. The show is doing well. I think it's number 2 right now on the Netflix trending.
Hmm.
Uh, what do you have to say to them? Like, what do you want to tell them? Like,
This is what I would tell him. I would tell him, you know what? Go watch The Legend of Korra. That is better.
for the record, this show, the live action, gave me a new appreciation for Korra. I
Same
rewatched it
here.
again. I
Good.
rewatched it again because I'm like, if I can stomach this, I can go rewatch Korra and give it another chance.
But here's the thing about Korra. Korra herself is not a good character.
Hmm.
It's everyone around her that's a good character that carries the show.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it could have been about Tenzin, and I think it would have been better.
Yeah.
Watch the source material and appreciate appreciate everything except the writing. Like, I mean, like I said, the costumes are great, the sets are great, special effects are great. Like, that's all good good reasons to watch it. But the sort, like, yeah, the writing is bad, the acting is bad, maybe even in part because of the writing. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't take it as seriously. Don't
You
take
got
it
anything else
seriously.
sad, Matt?
I don't know about the visuals. I mean, that air temple scene, that big CGI moment.
I'm trying to remember. Oh, when he goes into the Avatar thing? I don't know. It was pretty good. I feel like if
Yeah.
they had just done it him on the ground and Katara grab his hand, that would have been fine.
Hmm.
Yeah. Either way, to each their own, I guess.
The action is pretty cool
Yeah. No, I mean they
when
it
it's
wasn't
there.
it wasn't horrible. Like we gotta agree that it wasn't horrible. Compared to most live action adaptations, it wasn't the worst. Maybe the top 5. But
There's
No,
worse
I know
ones.
some pretty bad ones.
exactly, there's always something worse.
Yeah.
Either way, I mean, again, to each his own. If you liked it,
You're wrong.
good for you, I guess.
You're wrong.
But definitely check out the original series. It's still on Netflix. You won't be sorry.
It's on
And
Netflix. It's
then
on Paramount
maybe,
Plus too.
oh yeah.
Paramount Plus. Yeah, well, Paramount. It's Nickelodeon owns Avatar
Ah, okay.
still, and so Paramount Plus has Nickelodeon content, so you can also watch it on Paramount Plus.
Ah, okay, good to know.
Okay.
Well, with that being said, that's our show. Thank you for those who tuned in. If you're listening on Spotify, remember to like and follow. If you're on my YouTube channel, remember to hit that like button and subscribe, as well as comment below and let us know what you think of today's episode. You can also reach us on Discord. Tell us what you'd like, what you want to talk about. If you have any ideas, we're at the Media Buff, guys. We can start a conversation and just go from there. With that being said, just say good night, guys, and I guess we'll grit our teeth and hope. I don't know, it gets better. Maybe we'll see.
Only time will tell.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for being on the show with us today, Lane.
Yeah, of course.
All right, folks. Well, again, thank you for tuning in. That's our show, and we will talk to you next time.